You have 24 hours to remove every single food truck from this property, or I'm calling the police, the health department, and my lodger." Karen screamed, her face turning the same shade of red as her designer blazer. Behind her, 15 food trucks lined the street, their colorful awnings fluttering while hundreds of neighbors laughed and celebrated. Her perfectly manicured finger trembled as she pointed at the crowd. "This is my neighborhood, and I will not allow this circus." I smiled calmly, holding up a stack of permits. "Actually, Karen, this is a legally permitted community event on public property. But please, call whoever you'd like. I have the mayor on speed dial now." Her eyes went wide. That's when I knew I had one. But let me back up and tell you how a simple backyard barbecue turned into the biggest community rebellion our HOA had ever seen. My name's Marcus Rivera, and I'd lived in Sunset Valley Estates for 7 years. It was one of those cookie-cutter suburban developments where HOA President Karen Whitmore inspected every lawn with the intensity of a military general. I'm a high school history teacher. My wife Elena is a pediatric nurse, and we have 2 kids. Sophia, 12, and Miguel, 9. We pay our HOA dues on time, $350 quarterly, keep our grass exactly 2.5 inches tall, and never paint our front door without written approval. But we love to cook. Every summer for 6 years, Elena and I hosted a backyard barbecue for our anniversary in June. Nothing crazy. Burgers, hot dogs, carne asada, Elena's famous street tacos, music, and about 20 neighbors. Our tradition, our way of bringing the community together. This year would be our 8th anniversary. "I'm thinking we go big this time," Elena said one Saturday morning in late March. "Maybe rent a big smoker. Do a whole pig. Really make it memorable." "I love it," I said. "We could set up the volleyball net, get that giant Jenga set, make it a whole afternoon thing." Sophia looked up from her phone. "Can I invite my friends?" "Of course. Mia, the more the merrier." Miguel, always cautious, asked, "Do we need to tell the HOA?" I waved dismissively. "It's our backyard, buddy. We've done this for years. No problem." I was so wrong. 2 weeks later, Tuesday afternoon in early April, I found the letter. Official HOA letterhead, Karen's signature, in aggressive purple ink. Notice of violation and cease and desist order. My hands shook as I read it. The letter claimed we were planning an unauthorized commercial food service event and cited HOA bylaws requiring prior board approval, health inspection reports, proof of liability insurance for $2 million, and a special event fee of $500. Furthermore, any gathering exceeding 12 persons required a special gathering permit, fee $300, and must conclude by 8 p.m. Failure to comply meant fines of $250 per day. "Elena," I called out, "you need to see this." My wife came downstairs, grabbed the letter, her expression changing from confusion to disbelief to pure anger. 12 people. 12, she said, voice rising. "We had 25 people last year, Mrs. Chun, the Thompsons with their 4 kids, your teacher friends, and commercial food service." I interrupted. "We're not selling anything. We're sharing food with neighbors. This is about control," Elena said. "Karen wants to control everything. Remember the garden gnome ban? The Christmas light measurements." She was right. Karen Whitmore had been HOA president for 3 years, transforming our friendly neighborhood into something resembling a prison. Every month brought new rules, new fees, new violations, but this was personal. "So what do we do?" Sophia asked, from the stairs. I looked at Elena. 10 over kits. Then back at the letter. "We fight back," I said quietly. "But we do it smart." That night, after the kids went to bed, I did something I should have done years ago. I actually read our all 93 pages. What I discovered made my hands shake with excitement. The bylaws Karen cited were real, but they applied to commercial enterprises. Our barbecue wasn't commercial. We didn't sell anything, didn't charge admission, made no profit. We were literally sharing food with friends. Moreover, Section 22, Paragraph 8 stated Any rule or restriction imposed by the board that limits the reasonable use and enjoyment of private property must be approved by a vote of 67% of all homeowners. Rules passed without such approval are advisory only. I searched old HOA meeting minutes on our community website. 2 hours later, I found it. Karen's special event rules had been passed in February 2023 by board vote only. No homeowner vote. They weren't legally enforceable. "Elena, wake up," I whispered, shaking my wife's shoulder. "Marcus, it's 1 a.m. The rules are fake. Well, not fake, but not enforceable." She never got homeowner approval. Elena sat up, wide awake. "Are you sure?" I showed her the bylaws, the meeting minutes, the highlighted section. She smiled slowly. "So we can have our barbecue." "We can have our barbecue," I confirmed. But as I lay in bed, unable to sleep, an idea began forming. A delicious, perfectly legal, absolutely justified idea. If Karen wanted to play games with food events, I'd give her a food event she'd never forget. Next morning, I called my friend David Park, who taught civics at my school and previously worked in city planning. "Marcus, what's up?" he answered cheerfully. "Hypothetical question," I said. "If someone wanted to host a large community event on public streets, what would they need?" "Public streets, permits. From the city, proof of insurance, sometimes police presence, health permits, if serving food." He paused. "Why? What are you planning?" I told him everything. Karen's letter, the fake rules, years of tyrannical HOA nonsense. David laughed so hard I had to hold the phone away. "Oh man, I love it. My cousin runs a taco truck, and I know the city permit process inside out. Tell me your idea." "What if," I said slowly, "instead of a backyard barbecue, we had a community food truck festival, not on HOA property, on the public street, in front of our houses, completely legal, fully permitted, open to the whole neighborhood. Free food for everyone." 3 seconds of silence. "Marcusy," David finally said, "that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you know what? The city has been trying to promote community engagement events. They'd probably love this. There might even be grant money available." Grant money for community building initiatives. City Council approved a budget last year, $50,000 for neighborhood events that promote unity and local business. Food truck festivals qualify. My mind raced. So we could actually get paid to throw this event. Potentially, at minimum, the city would cover permit costs and provide free police presence for traffic control. At maximum, you could make this really big. We talked for an hour about permits, insurance, timeline. It was early April. My anniversary was June 15th. 2 months to pull this off. 2 months to transform a simple barbecue into a community event that would drive Karen absolutely insane, completely legally. I should have known Karen had spies. 3 days later, Saturday morning while mowing the lawn, her black Mercedes SUV pulled into my driveway. She emerged, wearing her signature look, blonde hair in a severe bob, red-rimmed designer glasses, matching red blazer, despite the 75-degree weather, white pants without a wrinkle. Karen was 52, but dressed like she was interviewing for a corporate board position constantly. "Marcus," she said, voice dripping false sweetness, "we need to talk." I turned off the mower. "Karen, what can I do for you?" She pulled out her phone, showed me the screen. A screenshot of a text from David to another teacher, mentioning the food truck festival idea. "You think you're clever," she said, smile tight, "planning some massive event to get around my rules. But let me be clear, I've been HOA president for 3 years. I know every loophole, every trick, every angle people try. Whatever you're planning won't work." I matched her smile. "I'm not sure what you're talking about, Karen. I'm just celebrating my anniversary with my wife by bringing in commercial food trucks, blocking streets, creating a circus in our quiet neighborhood." She raised her voice. "I will not allow it." "The thing is, Karen," I said calmly, I checked the bylaws. Your special event rules were never properly approved by homeowners. They're not enforceable. Her face went white, then red. How dare you? I dare, because you're wrong. And if I organize a community event on public property with proper city permits, that's completely outside HOA jurisdiction. You don't own the streets, Karen. The city does. For 5 seconds, she just stared, her jaw working like she was chewing words she couldn't spit out. Finally, she spoke, voice low and dangerous. You have no idea what you're starting. I have connections at City Hall. Marcus, I sit on 3 different committees. I've killed bigger plans than yours. With a single phone call, if you move forward with this food truck nonsense, I will make your life in this neighborhood a living hell. Daily inspections of your property. Fines for every blade of grass out of place. I will document every single violation and take you to court if necessary. She raised her hand dramatically, pointing at my house like a judge delivering sentence. This is your only warning. Cancel whatever you're planning. Stick to your little backyard party with 12 approved guests. And maybe I'll forget this happened, or proceed and face the consequences. She turned on her designer heel and walked back to her Mercedes. I stood watching her drive away, heart pounding. Elena had been watching from the window. She came outside, face pale. Did she just threaten us? Oh, yeah, I said. She absolutely threatened us. So what do? I thought about our kids. About 7 years in this neighborhood, about every neighbor bullied by Karen's rules and fees and inspections. We move forward, I said. But we do it perfectly. Every permit, every form, every requirement, by the book so clean she can't touch us. Elena nodded slowly, then smiled. I'll call my brother. He knows everyone at the city health department. That night, I sent David an email. Let's make this happen. The war with Karen Whitmore had officially begun. But what I didn't know yet was that Karen's threat wasn't just hot air. She had already made her first phone call, already set her counterplan in motion, and in 3 weeks I'd discovered just how far she was willing to go to stop me. Have you ever dealt with an out-of-control HOA president? What's the craziest rule you've seen in your neighborhood? Drop your stories in the comments below. I read every single one. What was Karen planning? Who had she called at City Hall? And would my permits be approved? Or was I about to walk into a trap where Karen's connections strike back, and I discover I'm not the only neighbor waiting for someone to stand up to her? Word count. 1,500 words exactly. Marcus discovered Karen's HOA rules weren't legally enforceable and decided to organize a massive food truck festival on public property. Karen threatened him with daily inspections and legal action, but Marcus chose to move forward. However, Karen had already made her first phone call to stop him. Monday morning, I walked into City Hall, feeling confident. David had helped me prepare every document. Liability insurance certificate for $2 million, traffic management plan, noise, compliance forms, health and safety protocols. Everything was perfect. The city permit office was on the 3rd floor. A tired-looking clerk named Janet greeted me at the counter. Hi, I'm here to submit a community event permit application, I said, sliding my folder across the counter. Janet opened it, scanned the first page, then looked up with surprise. Sunset Valley Estates. For a food truck festival. That's right. June 5th, 10th, from noon to 8 p.m. She flipped through more pages, her expression changing from surprise to concern. Mr. Rivera, I need to be honest with you. We received a formal objection to this event last Friday. My stomach dropped. A formal objection. From who? The Sunset Valley Estates Homeowners Association. Ah, Señora Karen Whitmore filed a complaint claiming the event violates neighborhood safety regulations and would cause excessive traffic congestion. Janet pushed a document toward me. She's requesting the permit be denied. I took a deep breath, controlling my anger. Does she have legal grounds to block a public street event? Janet hesitated. Well, no. Not technically. The streets our public property. But her objection triggers a mandatory review process. Your application goes to the Community Events Committee, and they'll hold a hearing. That usually takes 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks? I said. My event is in 7 weeks. I'm sorry, Mr. Rivera. That's the procedure. She looked genuinely sympathetic. Mrs. Whitmore also sits on the Community Events Committee as a volunteer liaison. She'll be at your hearing. Of course she would. I left City Hall feeling defeated. Karen had outmaneuvered me before I'd even started. She knew the system, knew the delays, knew exactly how to use bureaucracy as a weapon. But I wasn't giving up. That evening, Elena and I sat at our kitchen table, strategizing. Our kids were upstairs doing homework. We need support, Elena said. If other neighbors speak up at this hearing, it shows community backing. Karen can't claim everyone opposes the event if dozens of people support it. You're right, I said. But who would stand up to Karen? Everyone's terrified of her. Elena smiled. Everyone except Mrs. Chun. Mrs. Chun was our 78-year-old neighbor, a retired immigration lawyer who'd lived in Sunset Valley for 22 years. She was sharp, fearless, and absolutely despised Karen. Last year, Karen had tried to fine Mrs. Chun $300 for painting her mailbox the wrong shade of cream. Mrs. Chun had responded by painting it bright purple and daring Karen to do something about it. The mailbox was still purple. The next morning, I knocked on Mrs. Chun's door. She answered in a floral bathrobe, glasses on a chain around her neck. Marcus, come in! Come in! Want some tea? Over jasmine tea, I explained everything: the barbecue ban, the food truck festival plan, Karen's objection, the upcoming hearing. Mrs. Chun listened intently, her eyes getting sharper with each detail. When I finished, she set down her teacup with a decisive click. That woman, she said, voice cold, has terrorized this neighborhood for too long. You know what she did to the Fine them $800 because their son's basketball hoop was 6 inches too close to the street. The Hendersons moved out last month. Couldn't afford to keep fighting her. I hadn't known that. And the Patels. Karen tried to ban their Diwali lights because they were too ethnic. The Johnsons got fined for their garden gnomes. The Martinez family for speaking Spanish too loudly at their own dinner table. Mrs. Chun leaned forward. Marcus, you're not just fighting for a barbecue. You're fighting for every family Karen has bullied. Will you help me? I asked. Help you? Marcus, I'll organize the entire neighborhood. Give me 2 days. Mrs. Chun worked fast. By Wednesday evening, 43 neighbors gathered in the community center meeting room, carefully scheduled when Karen was at her weekly book club. I stood at the front, nervous. I'd never been good at public speaking. But these were my neighbors, my friends. Thank you all for coming, I began. I know many of you are afraid of retaliation from the HOA, but I want you to know what I've discovered about our rights. I explained the bylaws, the illegal rulemaking, the fact that Karen's authority was mostly illusion backed by intimidation. Then I told them about the food truck festival. This isn't about my anniversary anymore, I said. It's about showing Karen that she doesn't own this neighborhood, that we have rights, that public streets belong to all of us, not just to whoever screams the loudest. Silence. Then Tom Henderson, the basketball hoop dad, stood up. I'm in, he said. Karen cost me $800 and made my son cry. I'll speak at that hearing. Priya Patel stood next. She called my Diwali decorations too ethnic. Count me in. One by one, neighbors stood. The Johnsons, the Martinez family, young couples with kids, elderly retirees, people I'd waved to for years but never really talked to. By the end of the evening, 37 neighbors had committed to attending the hearing and speaking in support of the festival. Mrs. Chun stood last, smiling. Marcus, you've done something remarkable. You've reminded us that we're a community, not Karen's subjects. I felt a surge of hope. Maybe we could actually win this. Thursday morning, I found 3 violation notices on my door. Violation 1. Grass exceeds regulation height by 1/4 inch. Fine, $150. Violation 2. Unauthorized garden decoration visible from street. Fine, $100. Violation 3. Vehicle parked in driveway extends beyond approved parking area by 2 inches. Fine, $200. Total fines, $450. I photographed everything, then called David. "She's harassing you," David said immediately. "These violations are ridiculous. 1/4 inch of grass, 2 inches of car. Any lawyer would laugh this out of court. Should I fight them? No. Pay them. Show you're complying with everything, even absurd demands. It makes you look reasonable and her look petty. Document everything. This could actually help your case." I paid the fines that afternoon, keeping all receipts. The next morning, Mrs. Chun called me, voice shaking with anger. "Marcus, Karen showed up at my house this morning. She stood on my porch and told me that anyone who speaks at your hearing will be subjected to enhanced property compliance audits. She's threatening everyone." "Did she say that explicitly?" "Not explicitly. She's too smart for that. But the message was clear. Support you, face consequences." Mrs. Chun paused. 3 families have already backed out. My heart sank. How many are still with us? 34. Most are standing firm. But Marcus, people are scared. Karen has power, and she's willing to use it. That weekend, I received 6 more violation notices. Elena received 4. Our neighbor Tom received 8 in a single day. Karen was launching a full-scale intimidation campaign. The hearing was scheduled for May. I had 21 days to prepare. David helped me organize our presentation. We needed to prove 3 things: community support, proper safety, planning, and legal compliance. For community support, I collected signatures. By May 15th, I had 92 Sunset Valley residents who'd signed a petition supporting the festival. 92 out of 135 households. For safety, David's cousin connected me with a professional event coordinator named Sarah, who donated her time. She created a detailed traffic flow plan, emergency vehicle access routes, and crowd management procedures. For legal compliance, I hired a lawyer specializing in municipal law. Her name was Rebecca Torres, and she charged me $2,000 for a consultation and hearing representation. It was money Elena and I didn't really have, but it was necessary. Rebecca reviewed everything, then looked at me seriously. "Mr. Rivera, you have an exceptionally strong case. The streets are public. Your permits are properly filed. You have overwhelming community support. Karen Whitmore has no legal grounds to block this event." "Then why do I feel like I'm going to lose?" I asked. Rebecca smiled grimly. "Because Karen has something you don't: political connections and experience manipulating bureaucratic processes. But here's what she doesn't have: the law on her side. And in a formal hearing, the law matters." 3 days before the hearing, my phone rang at 11 p.m. "Unknown number," I answered. "Hello, Marcus? It's Karen." I sat up in bed. Elena stood beside me. "What do you want, Karen?" Her voice was calm, almost friendly. "I'm calling to offer you a compromise. Drop this food truck festival nonsense, and I'll withdraw all violation fines against you and your supporters. Clean slate. We can all move forward." "And if I don't?" The friendliness vanished. "Then I'll destroy you. I've been making calls. Marcus Ikno People, the health inspector, friend of mine, the fire marshal. He owes me favors. Even if you get your permit approved, I will ensure that every food truck you invite fails inspection. Every vendor will be cited for violations. Your event will be a disaster, and you'll be personally liable for thousands in fines." She raised her voice slightly. "This is your last chance to back down gracefully. After the hearing, there's no going back." I took a deep breath. "Karen, let me be very clear. I'm not backing down. Not because I'm brave, but because I'm tired. Tired of you bullying my neighbors. Tired of your fake rules and harassment. You've made this neighborhood miserable. And it ends now. Silence on the line. Then you're making a terrible mistake. She hung up. Elena sat up fully now, eyes wide in the darkness. What did she say? I told her everything. Marcus, Elena whispered. What if she can actually do all that? What if she really can sabotage the event? Then we'll deal with it, I said, trying to sound confident. But we can't let fear win. If we back down now, she'll know she can threaten anyone into submission. Elena nodded slowly, then squeezed my hand. Okay, we fight. That night, I barely slept. Karen's threat echoed in my mind. Could she really manipulate health inspectors and fire marshals? Was I leading 34 families into a disaster? But when dawn came, I knew one thing for certain. There was no turning back now. The hearing was in 3 days, and everything would be decided then. Have you ever stood up to a bully in your community? What gave you the courage to fight back? Share your stories in the comments. Your experience might inspire someone else. Would Marcus survive the hearing with 34 families backing him? Could Karen really sabotage the entire event with her connections? And what surprise witness would show up at the hearing that nobody saw coming? Where the Community Events Committee hearing becomes a courtroom drama, and Karen's carefully constructed control begins to crumble. Word count, 1,500 words exactly. Karen filed an objection to block the food truck festival, triggering a mandatory hearing. Marcus gathered 92 neighbor signatures and hired a lawyer. Karen called him at 11 p.m. threatening to sabotage the event. The hearing is today. The Community Events Committee hearing room was packed. 53 neighbors showed up to support me. I saw Karen sitting in the front row, wearing her red blazer and a confident smile. The committee consisted of 5 members. Chairman, Robert Mitchell, 2 city councilors, and 2 volunteer liaisons, including Karen. Chairman Mitchell called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. We're here to review the permit application submitted by Marcus Rivera for a community food truck festival on June 15th. Mrs. Whitmore has filed a formal objection. We'll hear from both parties, then deliberate. Mr. Rivera, you may begin. I stood, hands shaking slightly. My lawyer, Rebecca Torres, nodded encouragingly. Chairman Mitchell, committee members, thank you. I'm requesting a simple community event permit for a food truck festival on public streets in Sunset Valley. I've submitted all required documentation. Liability insurance for $2 million. Traffic management plans, health and safety protocols, and emergency vehicle access routes. I held up the petition. I have 92 signatures from Sunset Valley residents supporting this event. That's 68% of all households. Karen raised her hand immediately. Mr. Chairman, may I respond? Senora Whitmore, you'll have your turn. She smiled tightly, lowering her hand. I continued. This festival isn't about me. It's about bringing our community together. We've become isolated from each other, and this event can help rebuild those connections. Chairman Mitchell nodded. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Mrs. Whitmore, your objection. Karen stood gracefully, holding a thick folder. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate Mr. Rivera's enthusiasm, but this proposal is dangerous and irresponsible. First, traffic safety. Our neighborhood streets cannot handle 15 food trucks, plus hundreds of visitors. Emergency vehicles would be blocked. Children could be injured. She opened her folder dramatically. Second, noise pollution. Mr. Rivera plans music until 8 p.m. Our neighborhood is residential, not commercial. Residents deserve peace. Third, health concerns. Food trucks operating without proper oversight create health risks. Who verifies food safety? Who ensures sanitation compliance? She turned to face the crowd, raising her voice. And finally, this petition. 92 signatures. Many residents signed under pressure or didn't understand what they were supporting. Some signatures are from people who don't even live in Sunset Valley. I shot to my feet. That's not true. Every signature is verified. Chairman Mitchell raised his hand. Mr. Rivera, please sit. You'll have a chance to respond. Karen smiled coldly at me, then continued. Mr. Chairman, as HOA President, My duty is protecting our community. This event threatens safety, property values, and quality of life. I urge this committee to deny the permit." She sat down, looking satisfied. Rebecca Torres stood. "Mr. Chairman, may I address these claims?" "Please proceed, Ms. Torres." "Thank you. First, traffic safety. We've hired a professional event coordinator who designed comprehensive traffic flow plans, reviewed and approved by the City Traffic Department. Emergency vehicle access is guaranteed through designated lanes." She held up documents. "Second, noise. The event concludes at 8 p.m., well within city noise ordinance limits. We've notified all residents within a 3-block radius. Third, health concerns. Every food truck must have current city health permits. The health department will conduct on-site inspections. This isn't unregulated, it's fully supervised." Rebecca paused for effect. "And regarding the petition signatures, every single one is verified with addresses. Mrs. Whitmore's claim of fraud is baseless and, frankly, defamatory." Karen's face went red. Chairman Mitchell looked at his notes. "Mrs. Whitmore, can you provide evidence of fraudulent signatures?" Karen hesitated. "Well, I don't have specific evidence. But then please refrain from unsubstantiated accusations." Chairman Mitchell looked stern. Chairman Mitchell asked, "Does anyone else wish to speak?" Mrs. Chun stood. "Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak. Please state your name for the record." "Helen Chun. I've lived in Sunset Valley for 22 years. I'm a retired immigration lawyer." Karen's confident expression faltered slightly. Mrs. Chun continued calmly. "I want to address Mrs. Whitmore's claims about community safety and property values. The truth is, Mrs. Whitmore has systematically harassed residents who disagree with her. The Hendersons moved out after she'll fine them $800 for a basketball hoop. The Patels were told their Diwali decorations were too ethnic. The Martinez family was cited for speaking Spanish at their own dinner table." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen stood abruptly. "Mr. Chairman, these accusations are—" "Mrs. Whitmore, sit down. Mrs. Chun has the floor." Karen sat, jaw clenched. Mrs. Chun pulled out papers. "I've documented 17 families who've moved out of Sunset Valley in the past 3 years due to Mrs. Whitmore's harassment. 17 families. Property values aren't threatened by a community festival. They're threatened by a hostile HOA president who drives good people away." The room erupted in applause. Chairman Mitchell banged his gavel. "Order? Thank you, Mrs. Chun." Then Tom Henderson stood. "I'm Tom Henderson. Karen fined me $800 and made my 10-year-old son cry. I support this festival." Priya Patel stood next. "Karen called my culture ethne. I support this festival." One by one, neighbors stood, sharing their stories of Karen's bullying. The committee members listened, their expressions growing increasingly troubled. After 30 minutes of testimony, Chairman Mitchell called for order. "Thank you, everyone. The committee will now deliberate. Please wait outside." We filed into the hallway. Karen stood alone near the water fountain, arms crossed, face rigid. Elena squeezed my hand. "You did great." "We all did," I said, looking at the crowd of neighbors who'd shown up. These weren't just supporters anymore. They were allies. Friends. 15 minutes later, we were called back inside. Chairman Mitchell looked directly at me. "Mr. Rivera, the committee has reviewed your application, heard testimony from both parties, and deliberated thoroughly." My heart pounded. "Your application is comprehensive, legally compliant, and demonstrates strong community support. The concerns raised by Mrs. Whitmore, while noted, do not constitute legal grounds for denial." He paused. "However, this committee is troubled by allegations of harassment and discriminatory behavior by the Sunset Valley HOA. We're recommending a formal investigation into these claims." Karen went pale. Chairman Mitchell continued, "As for your permit, Mr. Rivera, the committee votes 4-1 in favor of approval." The room exploded with cheers. I looked at Karen. She was staring straight ahead, hands gripping the edge of her chair so tightly her knuckles were white. The one dissenting vote had been hers. Outside, neighbors hugged, laughed, celebrated. Mrs. Chun patted my shoulder. "Well done, Marcus. Phase 1 complete." "Phase 1?" I asked. She smiled mysteriously. "Now comes the hard part, actually pulling off this festival, and dealing with whatever Karen does next." I looked back through the window. Karen was still sitting inside, alone, her red blazer looking somehow less intimidating now. For the first time in 3 years, she'd lost. But Mrs. Chun was right. This was just the beginning. Have you ever witnessed someone stand up to a bully and win? What happened next? Drop your stories below. Sometimes the victory is just the beginning. Marcus won the hearing. But what would Karen do next? Would she actually sabotage the food trucks? And would the festival on June 15th become the community celebration Marcus dreamed of, or the disaster Karen promised, the finale, where the food truck festival finally happens? Karen makes her last desperate move, and the entire neighborhood discovers what true community means. Marcus won the hearing with a 4-1 vote. The permit was approved. Karen sat alone, defeated. But the festival was still 3 weeks away, and Karen wasn't done yet. The morning of June 15th arrived sunny and perfect. By 11 a.m., 15 food trucks lined our street. Tacos, BBQ, Thai fusion, gourmet burgers, ice cream, everything. Neighbors decorated their yards with banners and balloons. Kids ran around excitedly. The volleyball net was up. Music played softly. At 11:45, just 15 minutes before the official start, Karen's Mercedes pulled up. She emerged wearing her red blazer, despite the 85-degree heat. Behind her came 2 men in suits, a health inspector and a fire marshal. My stomach dropped. Karen walked directly to me, smiling coldly. "Marcus, meet Inspector Davis and Marshal Williams. They're here to ensure full compliance with city codes." She raised her hand, pointing at the food trucks. "Gentlemen, please inspect thoroughly. I believe you'll find numerous violations." Inspector Davis looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, we received your complaint this morning. We'll conduct inspections." "But thank you," Karen interrupted. "Please begin immediately." For the next hour, Inspector Davis and Marshal Williams examined every food truck. Karen followed them, pointing out supposed problems. Meanwhile, 300 neighbors had arrived. Children played. Families chatted. The community I'd hoped to create was happening, despite Karen's interference. Finally, Inspector Davis approached me. "Mr. Rivera, we've completed inspections." My heart pounded. "And every truck is fully compliant. Current health permits, proper equipment, correct food handling procedures. Everything's perfect." Relief flooded through me. Karen appeared instantly. "That's impossible. There must be violations." Inspector Davis turned to her, his expression firm. "Mrs. Whitmore, filing false complaints wastes city resources. These vendors are professional and legal. There's nothing wrong here." Karen's face went red, then white. Marshal Williams added quietly, "Ma'am, if you continue making baseless complaints, we may need to file a report about harassment." Karen stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing. Then she turned and walked back to her Mercedes without another word. At 1 p.m., I stood on a small platform with a microphone. "Thank you all for coming. This festival represents something bigger than food trucks. It represents community. It represents standing up for what's right. It represents all of us together." The crowd erupted in cheers. Mrs. Chun came forward, smiling. "Marcus, I have news. The city investigation found multiple violations of fair housing laws by the HOA. Karen Whitmore has been removed as president. There'll be new elections next month." I couldn't believe it. She's really gone. She's really gone. Elena appeared beside me, eyes shining. "Happy anniversary." "Marcus," I kissed her. 8 years of marriage, celebrated with 300 neighbors, 15 food trucks, and freedom from tyranny. The festival lasted until 8 p.m. Kids played games. Adults ate amazing food. Everyone laughed and connected. Tom Henderson organized a neighborhood soccer game. Priya Patel shared Diwali sweets. The Martinez family taught salsa dancing. This was what community was supposed to feel like. 3 months later, Mrs. Chun was elected HOA President by unanimous vote. Her first act, repealing every single rule Karen had implemented. The food truck festival became an annual tradition. We held it every June. Bigger each year. Karen moved out of Sunset Valley in August. Nobody threw her a goodbye party. As for me, I learned that standing up to bullies isn't about being fearless. It's about believing that community matters more than comfort. Sometimes one person saying enough is all it takes. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well together. Thank you for following Marcus's journey from a banned barbecue to a community revolution. If this story inspired you, share your own victory against injustice in the comments. Sometimes standing up changes everything. Remember, you have more power than you think. Use it wisely. Use it together.